The vast blackness of space surrounded the Imperial survey vessel as it approached the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. Commander Voxthal stood on the bridge with his 4 arms clasped behind his back, his scaled skin reflecting the blue glow from the ship's monitors. This was the 7th planetary system they had cataloged this cycle, and he was already bored. Another water world, he sighed, his voice rumbling through his throat sacs. Run the standard lifeform scans. The scan results flickered across the main screen. Officer Zelak, hunched over her console, looked up with mild surprise. Commander, the planet shows signs of technological civilization. Primitive, but they have achieved some basic spaceflight capabilities. Voxthal flicked his tail with disinterest. Add them to the report. Classification. Based on their development timeline. They qualify as a Class 3 pre-interstellar species. They call themselves humans and their planet Earth. Voxthal grunted and tapped his claw against the ship's railing. Deploy a standard monitoring probe. We won't bother with first contact protocols for such an insignificant species. They've barely left their own atmosphere. As the Imperial ship deployed its probe and prepared to jump to light speed, it remained unaware that its presence had been detected. On the International Space Station, astronaut Jack Miller floated near the observation window. His routine maintenance work forgotten, he stared at the distant metallic glint that had appeared near Earth's orbit. "Susan, you need to see this," he called to his crewmate. Dr. Susan Brooks pushed herself across the module and joined him at the window. Her eyes widened as she spotted the strange object. "That's not one of ours," she whispered. "And it's not space junk." Jack nodded slowly. "I think we just made first contact." They watched as the larger vessel disappeared suddenly, leaving behind only a smaller object that now orbited Earth at a distance. "Houston, this is ISS. We have a situation up here," Jack reported, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Within hours, every major observatory on Earth had turned its attention to the mysterious object. The strange probe emitted signals unlike anything humans had detected before. At NASA headquarters, a team of scientists gathered around screens displaying data from the probe. Among them was Dr. Nathan Carter, who had spent his career searching for signs of extraterrestrial life. The signals contained structured information, he explained to the agency director. "It's not random noise. This is deliberate communication." Director Patricia Wilson nodded gravely. "Can we decode it?" "We're trying," Nathan said. "But it's like nothing we've ever encountered." The president was briefed as governments worldwide began coordination through the United Nations. For the first time in human history, petty national differences seemed small in comparison to the reality of alien contact. At the United Nations emergency session, Security Council members argued about how to respond. The Chinese representative insisted on caution, while the Russian delegate suggested trying to capture the probe for study. The American ambassador urged a unified approach. Meanwhile, in a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team led by Dr. Henry Wallace worked tirelessly to decode the alien transmission. "I think I've got something," Henry said after 3 days without sleep. His fingers flew across the keyboard as his team gathered around. Lines of alien text appeared on screen, followed by a rough translation. Survey report. Sol system. Spiral arm 7. Quadrant 12. Planet designation. Sol 3. Dominant species. Carbon-based bipeds self-identified as humans. Technology level. Pre-interstellar. Threat assessment. Negligible. Resource value. Standard. Recommendation. Periodic monitoring only. Note: species considered insignificant, unlikely to achieve interstellar capability within next 500 cycles. No formal contact recommended. The room fell silent as they read the dismissive assessment. Finally, Dr. Wallace spoke, his voice tight with anger and determination. "They think we're insignificant. They haven't seen what humans can do when challenged. Little did the Galactic Empire know that their casual dismissal of humanity would be the spark that ignited an unprecedented response. On Earth, the revelation that they were not alone in the universe and were being watched changed everything. The race to prove the aliens wrong had begun. News of the alien probe spread across Earth like wildfire. World leaders gathered at the United Nations headquarters in New York to form a response team. The room buzzed with tension as representatives from every nation argued about what to do next. President Laura Bennett stood at the podium, her gray suit crisp and her expression determined. We need to act as one planet now, not as separate countries. This is humanity's moment to show what we're capable of. The UN voted to create a special committee called the Extraterrestrial Contact Division. They chose the best scientists, military strategists, and diplomats from around the world. Dr. Henry Wallace led the team working to understand the alien language. After 2 weeks of non-stop work, his eyes were rimmed with dark circles, but they sparkled with excitement as he entered the White House briefing room. Madam President, we've decoded more of the message, he said, setting his laptop on the table. The aliens call themselves the Zakarian Empire. They control thousands of star systems and have been exploring space for over 50,000 years. President Bennett frowned. And they dismissed us as insignificant. Yes, their report labeled us as a Class 3 pre-interstellar species. Basically, they see us as primitive cavemen who got lucky enough to reach our own moon. Henry couldn't hide the anger in his voice. What do you suggest we do? The president asked. General William Ross, a broad-shouldered man with a weathered face, spoke up. We need to understand their technology. That probe is our key. It's in high orbit, said NASA Director Patricia Wilson. We don't have any craft that can reach it. The room fell silent until Paul Garcia, a young engineer from NASA's Advanced Propulsion Lab, cleared his throat. Actually, I think we can reach it. And more importantly, I think we can hijack it. All eyes turned to him. The probe sends signals back to wherever it came from. If we can capture and reverse engineer it, we might be able to understand how their communications work, maybe even how their ships travel so fast between stars. President Bennett nodded slowly. How long would that take? Paul shrugged. Normally years, but with every nation contributing their best minds and resources, maybe months. Do it, the president ordered. 3 months later, a modified SpaceX capsule approached the alien probe. Inside, astronauts Kelly Duncan and Steve Ryan operated controls that had never existed on any human spacecraft before. Mission Control, we're in position, Kelly reported, preparing to deploy the capture net. Back on Earth, Paul Garcia and his international team of engineers watched nervously as the spacecraft extended a specially designed net made from materials developed after studying fragments of alien technology that had been detected in the probe's signals. The net wrapped around the probe, delivering a precise electromagnetic pulse. The probe's defenses hadn't been designed to repel such primitive technology. The Zakarians hadn't considered it necessary. We've got it, Steve shouted. Systems are intact but dormant. Within days, the probe was brought to a secure facility in Switzerland. Scientists from 28 countries worked together to take it apart piece by piece. Dr. Olivia Martinez, a quantum physicist, stared in awe at the probe's power source. This changes everything we know about energy generation, she whispered. In another lab, computer scientist Dr. Lee Junho successfully accessed the probe's data storage. It contains star maps, he announced to the team, and details of something called the Imperial Network. It seems to be how they communicate across their empire. President Bennett delivered a worldwide address that evening. Citizens of Earth, today marks a turning point in human history. The aliens who dismissed us as insignificant have unwittingly provided us with the tools to prove them wrong. She paused, her gaze steady. I have authorized Project Defiance. Within 1 year, humans will leave our solar system. We will show the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. In orbital shipyards hidden on the far side of the moon, Construction began on humanity's first faster-than-light spacecraft. Engineers worked day and night, adapting alien technology to human designs. They didn't just copy, they improved. The Zakarian Empire had made a critical mistake. They had judged humanity by their current technology, not by their potential. And they had certainly never accounted for human determination when faced with a challenge. 6 months passed in a flurry of unprecedented scientific breakthroughs. Laboratories around the world unlocked secrets from the alien probe, each discovery leading to 3 more. Humans had always been good at taking apart technology and figuring out how it worked. Now they had the ultimate challenge. In the underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Paul Garcia stared at the glowing blue cylinder on the test bench. The energy core powered up with a soft hum, casting eerie light across the faces of watching scientists. "It works," he whispered, then louder, "It actually works." The room erupted in cheers. This was the 5th test of the reverse-engineered alien power source, and the first complete success. What the Zakarians had taken 10,000 years to develop, humans had rebuilt in less than a year. Dr. Olivia Martinez tapped data into her tablet. Power output is stable at 99.7% of theoretical maximum. That's better than the original probe's efficiency. Paul nodded. "We didn't just copy their design. We improved it." On the far side of the moon, hidden from Earth's view and any potential alien observation, the shipyard buzzed with activity. The skeleton of humanity's first faster-than-light ship took shape in the vacuum of space. Workers in specialized spacesuits moved along its growing frame like ants building something far greater than themselves. Captain Diane Howard floated in space near the viewing window of the Lunar Command Center. She watched as the ship, her future ship, grew larger each day. After 15 years in the Air Force and 5 more as an astronaut, she had been chosen to command humanity's first journey to the stars. "Beautiful, isn't she?" asked a voice behind her. Diane turned to see Dr. Nathan Carter, the astrophysicist who had helped decode the star maps from the probe. "She's going to change everything," Diane replied, looking back at the ship. "Does she have a name yet?" Nathan smiled. "President Bennett announced it this morning. She's called Defiance." The name was perfect. A statement to the galaxy that humans would not accept being dismissed. 3 weeks later, the crew of 6 gathered in the lunar briefing room. Captain Howard stood before her team. Pilot Greg Lawson, Engineer Sam Patel, Science Officer Linda Reyes, Communications Specialist Jason Nguyen, and Medical Officer Kevin Morris. "Our mission is simple but dangerous," Diane told them. "We will travel to the nearest Zakarian outpost shown on their star maps. We will announce humanity's presence to the galaxy." Sam raised his hand. "The power core is stable, but we've never tested this drive system at full capacity. There are still unknowns." "That's why we're all volunteers," Greg said with a confident smile. "Explorers have always faced the unknown." On launch day, the eyes of the world watched through video feeds as Defiance prepared to leave lunar orbit. Inside the sleek ship, the crew ran through final checks with practiced precision. "Engine room reports all systems green," Sam announced from his station. "Navigation is locked on target coordinates," Greg confirmed. Captain Howard took a deep breath. "Communications, send the message to Earth as planned." Jason nodded and opened the channel. "Earth Control, this is Defiance. We are go for FTL initiation." President Bennett's voice came through clearly. "Godspeed, Defiance. Show them what humanity can do." Diane gripped her chair as she gave the order. "Engage FTL drive." The stars outside the viewports stretched into lines, then blurred completely as Defiance tore a hole in space-time. The ship shuddered, then stabilized as it entered faster-than-light travel for the first time in human history. In the Imperial Monitoring Station, orbiting a gas giant 12 light-years from Earth, a bored Zakarian technician noticed an unusual energy spike from the direction of Sol 3. He reported it in his daily log but classified it as a sensor anomaly. After all, The primitive species on that planet couldn't possibly have developed that kind of technology. His report was filed away and forgotten as the Defiance hurtled through space toward the nearest Imperial outpost, carrying with it humanity's message to the galaxy. We are not insignificant. 3 weeks passed inside the Defiance as it traveled through the strange dimension that made faster-than-light travel possible. The crew settled into routines, checking systems, running tests, and preparing for their arrival. Despite their training, no one knew exactly what to expect. The ship shuddered as it returned to normal space. Through the viewports, the crew saw a massive space station orbiting a red-tinged planet. The station sparkled with lights, and dozens of ships moved around it like busy insects. "We made it," Captain Howard said softly. "Outpost Zeta 9, just where the star maps said it would be." Communications specialist Jason Guion looked up from his console. "Captain, we're being scanned. Multiple frequencies." "Let them scan," Diane replied calmly, "and open a channel using the protocols we found in the probe." Jason's fingers danced across his panel. "Channel open." Captain Howard stood straight, her voice clear and firm. "This is Captain Diane Howard of the Earth ship Defiance. We come as representatives of humanity and seek diplomatic contact with the Galactic Empire." For several tense minutes, there was no response. Then a harsh voice filled the bridge. "Unidentified vessel, your design is not in our database. State your point of origin and purpose." "We are from Earth, also known as Sol 3. We have achieved faster-than-light travel and wish to establish formal relations with the Galactic Empire." Another long pause followed. The crew exchanged nervous glances. "Impossible," the voice finally replied. "Sol 3 is a pre-interstellar civilization. Maintain position for boarding and inspection." A sleek silver ship detached from the station and approached the Defiance. It was 3 times their size and bristled with what were clearly weapons. Engineer Sam Patol whispered, "Those are definitely not diplomatic cannons." The boarding went smoother than expected. 6 Imperial officers, led by a tall, purple-skinned alien with 4 arms, entered through the airlock. They carried devices that were obviously scanners and weapons. Their eyes widened as they confirmed the crew was indeed human. "I am Inspector Kreklak," the leader announced. "By Imperial law, you will submit to questioning and examination." Captain Howard met his 4-eyed gaze without flinching. "We will cooperate, but we come as equals, not subjects." The Imperial officers herded the humans onto their ship and took them to the station. There, in a large meeting room, they faced Imperial Governor Grelzak, a bulky creature with greenish scales and a frill that expanded when he was upset. Currently, his frill was fully extended. "Humans achieving FTL travel is unprecedented," he rumbled. "Your species was classified as insignificant just 1 cycle ago." Commander Rogers, who had been chosen as their diplomatic representative, stepped forward. "We reject that classification. We bring a message from Earth's president. Humanity demands formal recognition as an interstellar species." The governor's frill fluttered in what might have been amusement. "Demands. You have 1 ship. The Empire spans thousands of worlds." "Nevertheless," Rogers replied, "we stand by our statement." After hours of questioning, the humans were left alone in quarters assigned to them on the station. Sam immediately found and disabled 3 surveillance devices. "They're confused," Diane said once they could speak freely. "They don't know what to make of us." Jason nodded. "I saw their communications officer send at least 5 urgent messages to their central government." 2 days later, Governor Grelzak summoned them again. His frill lay flat against his neck now, and his tone was more respectful. "The High Council has considered your situation. They have granted humans limited observer status within the Empire, with restricted access to certain technologies as a courtesy to an emerging species." Rogers kept her face neutral despite the condescension in his words. "We accept this preliminary arrangement while our governments establish more formal relations." Back on Earth, Dr. Alan Wright led a team that had continued studying the alien probe. They had just made a breakthrough in understanding the weapons systems when a message arrived from Defiance. "They're still underestimating us," President Bennett said after reading the report. "Good. Let them think we're satisfied with observer status while we learn everything we can." She turned to her advisors. "How long until our next ship is ready?" 3 months, came the reply, "and it will be twice as advanced as Defiance." The president smiled. "Perfect. Let's not show all our cards at once." After 2 months at Outpost Zeta 9, the humans had learned more about the Galactic Empire than the Empire had intended. The crew of Defiance used their observer status to study everything they could, from technology to culture to military tactics. The Imperials, still viewing humans as primitive, often spoke freely around them, not realizing how quickly humans could learn. Commander Rogers sat in a meeting with 3 other species designated as emerging within the Empire. A Zakarian diplomat droned on about trade regulations. Rogers appeared to take notes on a tablet, but she was actually recording everything for later analysis. "The diplomatic vessel will depart tomorrow," the Zakarian announced. "Representatives from all observer species will travel to sector headquarters for cultural exchange." Rogers looked up. "Will Captain Howard and our crew be allowed to bring our ship?" The diplomat's face tendrils twitched with amusement. "No, small one. The Defiance is too primitive for such a journey. You will travel aboard the Imperial diplomatic vessel, Majestic Dawn." The next day, the human representatives boarded the massive Imperial ship. It dwarfed their own vessel, stretching nearly a mile from end to end. Engineer Frank Nelson whistled as they were led through gleaming corridors. "Their power systems are incredible," he whispered to Rogers. "But I've spotted at least 3 design flaws already." The Majestic Dawn carried representatives from 12 different species classified as observers or protectorates of the Empire. Humans were by far the newest addition, and other aliens watched them with curiosity and sometimes contempt. 3 days into the journey, alarms blared throughout the ship. The humans were in their quarters when the lights flickered and the vessel shuddered violently. "That's weapons fire," Captain Howard said, her military training kicking in. "We're under attack." They rushed to the corridor, where panicked aliens ran in all directions. A ship-wide announcement in the Imperial Standard language confirmed Howard's assessment. They were being attacked by the Vralkar, a hostile species that had warred with the Empire for centuries. The humans made their way to the bridge, where chaos reigned. The Imperial captain, a tall Zakarian with battle scars across his face tendrils, barked orders as his crew fought to keep the shields functioning. 3 Vralkar battle cruisers, the tactical officer reported. "Our weapons cannot penetrate their new shield configuration." Another blast rocked the ship. Sparks showered from a nearby console. Captain Howard stepped forward. "Let us help." The Imperial captain scoffed. What could primitives know of space combat? A direct hit caused a section of the ceiling to collapse. The Imperial weapons officer was crushed beneath it. Frank Nelson rushed to the weapons console. "Commander Rogers, remember the defense algorithms we studied from the probe? I think they're using a modified version." Rogers nodded. "Captain Howard, the Vralkar shields must oscillate on a frequency pattern. If we can identify it, we can match our weapons to fire between the oscillations," Howard finished. She turned to the Imperial captain. "Let us try." With no better options, the Imperial reluctantly stepped aside. Frank's fingers flew across the alien controls, adapting quickly to their layout. Captain Howard directed the defensive maneuvers, while Rogers analyzed the enemy attack patterns. "They're predictable," Rogers said. "They attack in sequences of 3, then reposition." "Got it," Frank called. Weapons recalibrated. Firing. The Imperial ship's weapons lanced out, slicing through the previously impenetrable Vralkar shields. One enemy cruiser exploded in a ball of fire. The others quickly retreated, clearly shocked by the sudden change in fortune. The bridge fell silent. The Imperial captain stared at the humans with new respect in his 4 eyes. "How did you do that?" he asked. Howard smiled. Humans are good at finding patterns, and we adapt quickly. News of the human-led defense spread quickly through the Empire. By the time they reached sector headquarters, the story had grown with each telling. Imperial military officers now watched the humans with cautious interest rather than dismissal. The High Council member who greeted them actually bowed to Captain Howard. "The Empire extends its gratitude for your assistance. Perhaps we have underestimated humanity's potential contribution to galactic society." Rogers exchanged a glance with her crewmates. This was exactly what they had hoped for, the beginning of respect. Word of the human success against the Vralkar spread throughout the Empire. Some officials dismissed it as luck. Others were curious. A few were concerned. Among those paying closest attention was High Council member Draxur, the Empire's former military commander. Draxur was old even by Zakarian standards. His face tendrils had faded from vibrant purple to pale lavender, and his once mighty frame had grown thin. But his mind remained sharp, and he recognized potential when he saw it. At the next meeting of the High Council, Draxur raised his hand to speak. The council chamber fell silent as he stood, leaning on his ceremonial staff. "These humans intrigue me," he said, his voice still commanding despite his age. "I propose we test them properly." Emperor Zextal tilted his massive head. "What do you suggest, old friend?" "The Galactic Military Exhibition begins in 20 days. Let the humans participate." Gasps and mutters filled the chamber. The exhibition was a prestigious event where the Empire's finest military units competed in tests of strategy, combat, and skill. No observer species had ever been allowed to participate. "Preposterous," said another council member. "They are barely space-capable." Draxur's tendrils twitched with amusement. "Then there is no risk in allowing them to try and fail in public. Perhaps it will remind them of their place." The Emperor considered for a moment, then nodded. "An excellent suggestion. Let it be done." When Commander Rogers was informed of the invitation, she immediately called Earth. President Bennett was displayed on the secure communication screen, her expression serious. "They're testing us," Rogers explained. "The exhibition is their way of showing off Imperial military prowess. They expect us to fail." President Bennett smiled. "Then we'll have to surprise them. I'm sending our best team." 2 weeks later, a new human ship arrived at the Imperial capital. The Intrepid was slightly smaller than Defiance, but far more advanced. Its clean lines and smooth hull gave no hint of the technology hidden within. Former Navy SEAL John Martinez led the human team as they disembarked. Beside him walked Lisa Peterson, who had been the top tactical instructor at West Point. 8 other specialists followed, each chosen for specific skills. The Imperial Welcoming Committee couldn't hide their surprise at the new ship. "Your technology has advanced quickly," observed the protocol officer. John smiled. "We're fast learners." The exhibition was held in a massive arena that could seat over 100,000 spectators. Teams from 30 elite Imperial military units were already training when the humans arrived to register. The registration officer, a 6-armed alien with metallic skin, looked down at them skeptically. "You understand that these competitions were designed for the most advanced species in the galaxy. Your team will face challenges beyond your comprehension." Lisa Peterson stepped forward. "We understand. We're ready." For 5 days, the humans observed the other teams practicing. They studied their techniques, noted their strengths and weaknesses. Each night, they gathered to plan. They'd all follow similar patterns, Lisa explained to her team. Imperial military doctrine emphasizes overwhelming force and textbook maneuvers. No improvisation, John added. They don't adapt well to the unexpected. On the first day of competition, the humans faced a combat simulation against a highly ranked Imperial team. The aliens towered over the humans, their powered armor making them even more intimidating. The simulation began with a terrain that shifted unpredictably, a forest that changed into desert, then mountains, then urban ruins. The Imperial team moved in perfect formation, their tactics flawless but rigid. The humans scattered, seemingly in disarray. The Imperial spectators chuckled at what they saw as primitive panic. But it wasn't panic. It was a strategy the Imperial team had never seen. The humans used the changing terrain to their advantage, setting traps, creating diversions, and attacking from unexpected angles. When the simulation ended, the score flashed on the massive screens. Humans, 287. Imperial elites, 152. The arena fell silent in shock. Then one Zakarian began to applaud slowly, his face tendrils extended in respect. It was Draxur. Others joined until the sound was deafening. In their viewing box, the Imperial High Council exchanged worried glances. These humans were far more dangerous than they had believed. The final day of the Galactic Military Exhibition arrived with great excitement. The human team had shocked everyone by advancing to the championship round. They would face the defending champions, an elite Zakarian unit that had won the exhibition for the past 7 years. In the preparation room, John Martinez gathered his team for a final briefing. Their faces showed exhaustion from days of competition, but their eyes burned with determination. "We've studied every move the Zakarians make," John said. "They're powerful and skilled, but predictable. Today we show the galaxy what humans can do." Across the station, in the Emperor's private viewing box, Ambassador Eric Davidson represented Earth. He stood tall among the Imperial officials who had once dismissed humans as insignificant. "Your species continues to surprise us," Emperor Zextal said to Davidson. "Regardless of today's outcome, you have earned the Empire's attention." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Davidson replied with a slight bow. "Though I believe we'll earn more than just your attention today." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. A Zakarian officer rushed into the Emperor's box, his face tendrils rigid with fear. "Your Majesty, Vralkar ships have appeared in the system. A massive fleet, at least 300 vessels." The Emperor rose quickly. "How did they get past our outer defenses?" "Unknown, sire. They're using some new technology that masked their approach. Our defense fleet is moving to engage, but they're outnumbered." On the main screens, intended to show the exhibition's final event, images of space battle appeared instead. Imperial ships formed defensive patterns, but were quickly surrounded by the larger Vralkar force. John Martinez and his team rushed to the command center after hearing the alarms. There they found Imperial officers frantically trying to organize a defense. Their new cloaking technology let them bring their entire battle fleet to our doorstep. A Zakarian commander explained, "Our standard tactics aren't working against their attack pattern." John studied the tactical display. "Your ships are too rigidly organized. They're exploiting the gaps in your formation." The Imperial Admiral looked down at the human with irritation. "This is not a simulation, human. This is real war." "We know," Lisa Peterson replied, "and we can help." Ambassador Davidson entered with the Emperor and his guards. "Admiral, let the humans assist. They've proven their worth in the exhibition." After a moment's hesitation, the Admiral nodded. "Very well. What do you suggest?" John quickly outlined a plan that broke all Imperial military doctrine. Instead of maintaining strict formations, Imperial ships would use unpredictable movements. Small, fast vessels would harass the enemy, while larger ships targeted key vulnerabilities. "This goes against all our training," the Admiral protested. "That's why it will work," John explained. "The Vralkar expect you to follow your standard tactics. They've planned for that." With the Emperor's approval, the plan was put into action. Imperial ships broke formation and began moving erratically, confusing the Vralkar attackers. Meanwhile, Ambassador Davidson made an urgent call to Earth. "We need our ships now." Unknown to the Empire, Earth had continued building vessels after the Intrepid. 3 ships, led by Admiral Mary Wilson aboard the Resolute, had been stationed just outside the Imperial capital system, waiting for exactly this kind of opportunity. As the battle raged, 3 human ships suddenly appeared, attacking the Vralkar from behind. Though small compared to Imperial vessels, the human ships were fast and packed with advanced weapon systems that Earth had developed by improving on Imperial designs. The Vralkar, caught between the new Imperial tactics and the surprising human attack, began to falter. Their careful plan, designed to counter standard Imperial responses, fell apart. In the command center, Emperor Zextal watched with growing amazement as the tide of battle turned. The humans had not only helped create a successful defense, but had brought their own ships the Empire hadn't known existed. "Ambassador," the Emperor said quietly to Davidson, "I believe we have seriously underestimated your species." Davidson smiled. "That seems to be a common mistake, Your Majesty." The battle for the Imperial capital lasted 14 hours. When it ended, the Vralkar fleet was in ruins. Over 200 enemy ships had been destroyed or captured. The rest fled into deep space. Imperial casualties were heavy, but the capital and the Emperor were safe, thanks largely to the humans. 1 week later, a grand ceremony was held in the Imperial Palace. Thousands of aliens from across the galaxy gathered to witness what many had thought impossible just months earlier. The vast throne room fell silent as Emperor Zextal rose to his full height of nearly 10 feet. His ornate robes glittered with precious metals and gems from 100 worlds. The Imperial High Council stood on either side of his throne, their face tendrils extended in formal display. "Today marks a historic moment for the Galactic Empire," the Emperor announced, his voice carrying across the massive chamber. "For the first time in 10,000 years, we bestow the title of Species of Highest Regard upon a newcomer to galactic society." President Laura Bennett stood at the front of the human delegation. She wore a simple blue suit that contrasted sharply with the elaborate dress of the Imperial court. Behind her stood the crews of the Defiance, Intrepid, and Resolute, along with John Martinez's team and key Earth leaders. The Emperor continued, "Humans have proven themselves to possess courage, ingenuity, and adaptability beyond what we believed possible for such a young species. Their assistance was crucial in defeating our oldest enemy." One by one, he called forward Captain Howard, Commander Rogers, Admiral Wilson, John Martins, and Lisa Peterson. Each received a medal made from a rare metal that glowed with inner light. Furthermore, the Emperor announced, "Earth is offered full membership in the Galactic Empire, with special status as military advisors to the Imperial fleet." This was the moment Earth had been waiting for. President Bennett stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we are honored by these recognitions," she said clearly. "However, Earth respectfully declines to become a member of the Empire." Shocked murmurs spread through the assembly. The Emperor's face tendrils twitched in surprise. Instead, Bennett continued, "We propose a new kind of relationship, an alliance between equals. Humanity will not be subjects, but partners." For a long moment, the Emperor was silent. Then, to everyone's surprise, he laughed. The sound echoed strangely from his alien throat. "Once again, humans prove unpredictable," he said. "Very well, President Bennett. The Empire will negotiate this alliance between equals, a first in our history." As the ceremony concluded, Admiral Voxthal, the very officer who had first dismissed humans as insignificant, approached the human delegation. His once proud posture was slightly stooped, his face tendrils held close to his neck in a posture of humility. "I have been assigned as liaison to Earth's new Interstellar Defense Academy," he said. "It seems I have much to learn from your species." President Bennett smiled. "We all have much to learn from each other, Admiral. That's the point of this alliance." 3 months later, the first joint human imperial military exercise was held in the Sol system. Ships from 20 alien species trained alongside Earth's growing fleet. On stations and planets throughout the galaxy, the phrase "as unpredictable as a human" became common slang for something surprising but effective. In the Imperial archives, the official classification of humanity was updated, where once it had read Class 3 pre-interstellar species, Insignificant, it now stated, Advanced interstellar civilization. Approach with caution and respect. On Earth, schools began teaching galactic history and alien languages. Humans adapted quickly to their new role in the galaxy, as humans always did. And in the dark reaches beyond imperial space, other alien civilizations took note. Some with curiosity, some with fear. All understood one thing clearly. The species from the small blue planet might be young, but they were far from insignificant. The Galactic Empire had learned this lesson the hard way. Others would be wise not to make the same mistake.